Welcome to the South Baltimore Now podcast. Every year, we take a special episode to dive into the heart of SouthBMore.com. Today, we're going to share some stories that fuel our passion, the incredible support from our community, and a behind-the-scenes look at the financials that make our unique business thrive. So, let's get started, and thanks for tuning in. Kevin Lynch is joining me today. I'm Nate Carper, and Kevin Lynch is the owner, founder of SouthBMore.com. Kev, what's going on, man? You doing all right?
Yeah, what's going on? Guess we're heading into that holiday season. Hope everybody's ready. Hope the businesses are ready. Hopefully it's a good time to own a small business in South Baltimore. I know it usually is. The fall is fun. The Ravens seem to be back on track, and it's about to be the most wonderful time of the year.
I've seen some things from some of the neighborhood associations trying to make people aware of the shopping events that are going on around South Baltimore. But yeah, a lot of activity happening. Things are about to kick into overdrive here towards the end of the year. Looking forward to the Christmas Village down at the Inner Harbor. So Kev, speaking of small businesses, SouthBMore.com is, an awesome small business here in the neighborhood, bringing you awesome local journalism. I have to ask, Kev, how are things going at SouthBMore.com right now?
Sure. I'd say overall, it's like the greatest job ever. I get to hang out in South Baltimore. I get to meet amazing people. I get to meet small business owners. I get to meet developers. I get to meet people making things happen in South Baltimore. So that is really just the coolest thing ever. And, as a guy who loves South Baltimore and is just curious about what's going on, I can basically get the answer to anything. And people are shy about saying, Kevin, what's the deal with this? What's the deal with that? So I love to be able to have access to answers about what I think is the greatest neighborhood in America. And to all the people out there that come to our site all the time and constantly give us words of encouragement, I appreciate that so much. I've been involved in a lot of things in my life, and nothing has really been even close to how rewarding that this SouthBMore.com project has been. And that's because of just the constant positive support I get from this community and sometimes people beyond the community. So I thank everybody for coming to this site, for the words of encouragement, for just being part of an awesome neighborhood. I'm so thankful for that. It's really the greatest job ever. And this is certainly a challenging business. People in this industry are constantly trying to figure out. I am a small business. The subjects of most of our stories are small businesses. Our clients are mostly small businesses. So I know it's been a really tough time for small businesses since the pandemic. Obviously, the world was flipped on its side about 4 years ago, and now we're in a challenging economy that's hitting small businesses with inflation, supply chain issues, and just all kinds of things that have made it a lot more stressful to have a small business. And I know that from all the small business owners I talk to. If you ever want to get a little bit stressed out, talk to a restaurant owner about all the different moving parts they have to deal with and the challenges these days. Essentially, every small business is getting squeezed right now. And that's really made things more of a challenge for our business as well, where people that used to spend several $100s a month on advertising have really had to cut down their budgets and spend less. We still get tons of advertising inquiries, and we're very thankful for that. But really, everybody's budget's a lot smaller because, the price of carryout items and the price of beef and the price of mailing things is a lot more expensive than it used to be. And even for us, there's so many different subscriptions and hosting things that we need to have a publication that gets thousands of people a month. And really the cost on most of those things have gone up for us as well. So, even there's certain things we've relied on, like analytics that we can understand who's coming to our site and tell that to our advertisers. And Google was kind of the standard bearer of that. And they made a lot of changes. So now I have to pay for analytics from the company outside of Google. So really it's kind of like tech era. It's like everything's a subscription. It's your subscription for your accounting, your subscription for your editing software, your subscription for your analytics, your subscription for your email server and all that stuff. So really it's kind of like you're getting all these new fees from every angle. We see how tough it is for small businesses out there. And that's obviously coming back to us when we're trying to get business out of them. So really it's been a challenge. We're here, we're working hard. The thing that really keeps me, and I know Nate, going is it's such a cool project to be a part of. We love this community. And I don't know that I'd be able to hang on if it wasn't for all the positive support. I'm not saying we're on the brink of closing this at any minute, but it's certainly been challenging. And fighting through these challenges has been easier to know that we're a very well loved and supported part of this community. So we thank everybody for that. We're going to keep fighting. And I know there's a lot of opportunities for businesses from small to large, and even yourself to get involved in helping us out. And we look forward to telling you all about that.
That's awesome. I appreciate you sharing that. It's a good insight. Kev, how can businesses get more involved in southbmore.com?
We have all kinds of great sponsorship opportunities. Before we talk about that, we should probably just talk about our audience. We get, 50, 60, 70,000 South Baltimore loving people on our website every month. A lot of those people live here or they work here, they come here all the time. So if you have a South Baltimore based business, we have this audience we've created that's going to get you right to your target audience. If you're doing business downtown or in the inner harbor or really getting clients and business from all over the area, we have this wonderful area that we kind of have on lock when it comes to an audience. And a lot of upper income people here as well that can really kind of get you a really great audience for your business, for your event, for your institution, whatever it is. So I think we really have a great audience that we can sell to all kinds of businesses from small to large. When it comes to advertising options, we have banner ads where you just put your branding and your message out to our audience. There's different sponsored content opportunities. You can do one of our email blasts. You can, do a sponsored content for like a listing you have, whether that's a commercial listing or a home for sale, anything like that. We've created this new directory, which we're very excited about, where you go on our directory and basically every business in South Baltimore is already on there. You can pay to upgrade that with features of hosting your own events, coupons, specials, and getting more engaged with our community, really having your listing come up higher than other businesses in the same category. So we're really excited about our directory. It's really been a cool feature that we've added. It's obviously something that we've worked hard on to, if you just have a few bucks a month, you can get involved with us. If you have thousands of dollars a month, please give us a call. We definitely have different options. One of the goals is whether you have a small business or a large business, we have a place for you to advertise on southbmore.com. And most importantly, you're getting engaged with a really great, really targeted audience.
And if I may add a few words on that, because obviously the directory and our advertising platform kind of falls into my wheelhouse here at southbmore.com. So look, folks, if you're reading this, watching this, listening to this, I want to tell you that literally for $19 a month, you can support a local journalist. We have on our directory ranked number 1 in South Baltimore for events and coupons. And we're actually ranked right now on Google number 3 overall for coupons. And very highly ranked with events as well. So these come with your listings. If you were to go to our site and check out the directory, $19 a month would actually give you a couple of coupons, a couple of events to put in front of all of our thousands of viewers and readers. And so it's a great way to get your name out there more, and you will be seen. You can contact me and I can give you testimonials from some of our advertisers. We have a couple of different ways you can get supported. We have a very large social media following, about 25,000 folks if you combine everything. We can get you in front of a lot of people, and we want to do that. We want to support our local businesses and get your message out there. So just know that we do have a price point for everybody to get involved and support us.
Yeah, let me make a call out. We've always done pretty well with the small businesses, and we're very thankful for that. We love small business, but I also wanted to give a call out to the big businesses out there with the big budgets. I'm talking about the casino, the Orioles, the Ravens, the hospitals, the car dealerships, the universities, the major event companies, the big political campaigns, the law firms who have these massive advertising budgets, and they're spending a lot of that money on some of these really big media companies and big tech and all these things. If some of you could take a small portion of that advertising budget and do a campaign with southbmore.com, you're getting in front of a great audience. This is not a charity. You are getting your company, your institution, your message in front of a really great, engaged audience of people that can walk to events. They want to be involved in local things, but also you're supporting small business when you do that. You are supporting a small business, us make sure that we're around for 5 more years, and maybe we could grow this thing, because constantly people talk to me. We want this level of reporting over in Canton or in Hamden, these different areas, and we'd love to be able to grow what we're doing. And in order to do that, we're going to need not just the support of the small businesses, which is amazing. We need some of those bigger advertising budgets in the city to look our way as well. It'll be worth it for them for sure.
Absolutely. So we talked about our advertisers, partnership opportunities. How can our readers, our viewers, our listeners support the site?
If you follow the media industry, you've seen a lot of places have gone to this reader revenue model. Unfortunately, a lot of places have gone to a paywall where it's like you can't read our content unless you are a subscriber. And sometimes those subscriptions are like $20 a month. Like how many times can we afford to pay that for all the different things we're subscribing to now? So I've always wanted to keep the publication free, accessible to anybody with an internet connection. I think the goal of the site has always been to have people more informed in what's going on in the community around them. So I've rejected the urge to ever go to a paywall, even though if that was successful, it could really be a lot of income for our company. But at the same time, if you're cutting your readership down to like 10% of what it is now, is the goal of your company really getting there? So what we do is we have an opportunity for people to be part of our Patreon page, which, if you go on YouTube shows or podcasts, you'll probably hear them talk about this a lot. There might be other contribution ways. You can go on our Patreon page and give us a monthly contribution. We really cap it at $20 a month. We kind of say, buy us a coffee, buy us a pint. You could buy us a crab cake or a burger or whatever. So it's a way that you could voluntarily be a subscriber, pay whatever amount of money is comfortable to you. We don't want anybody to break the bank supporting us. Like a lot of these publications you might be a subscriber to could be pretty expensive, and we certainly don't want anybody to pay that type of money. If we just had a very small percentage of the 50,000 plus people coming to our website every month, the 200,000 plus people that come to our website every year, we just had a really, really small percentage of those people contributing, $3 to $5 to $6 to $7 a month. We would really have a solid base to run this business and potentially add additional journalists, or maybe see if we can grow into some additional neighborhoods. So I know it's tough out there for everybody now, but if you love our publication and you have a few extra dollars a month, you could become a member of our Patreon page. That would really go a long way to support our stability. To the people that are already doing that, we really appreciate it. We know who you are. We thank you. It means a lot to us. You're the reason that I want to work harder to get the next story.
You're out there every day talking to folks in the neighborhood, developers, schools, businesses, people that are making things happen. One of the things that drew me originally to southbmore.com, and I've been a follower since I moved here and, years ago, and discovered it, is the fact that, you are independent and you're giving a perspective that other publications just can't do. They can't get in that close. They can't, be that micro-targeted. It's what keeps readers coming back. It's what keeps people subscribed to the newsletter. It's what keeps people spreading the word to their neighbors about what's going on. As you mentioned, with some additional funds, we'd be able to add additional journalists or reporters or, other features, other benefits that the community might love and want and need. That all takes time, money, and labor, of course. Everything kind of comes back to the stories. If you weren't putting out great content every day, Kev, people wouldn't come to the site, but you are putting out great content. So speaking of that, I'm curious, what are some of the biggest stories of the past year? What's gotten the biggest hits for you?
Sure. I think this has certainly been a story of the past 10 years, but I think it's really starting to come to a head, is really just all this change going on around the Middle Branch. We're talking about the Baltimore Peninsula development. We're talking about Under Armour moving to Baltimore Peninsula. We're talking about the Lock Landing development. We're talking about Westport. Let's start with Westport. That's a development that's been talked about for 20 years. You got this waterfront parcel, and in many ways, the attached existing neighborhood of Westport has kind of been held in limbo, waiting for this development to happen for the past 20 years. Now we see the Westport development has finally started construction. There's going to be almost 300 townhomes and some affordable housing. It looks like they're really going to focus on townhomes, and to have this new waterfront townhome community. Finally, things are getting going in Westport. And eventually there's kind of this master plan to have this walking bridge that connects Westport over by Swan Park. Then that gets you connected to Federal Hill. That gets you connected to the Baltimore Peninsula development, really gets you kind of connected to all things South Baltimore, and really kind of could add to really this kind of fitness element around the Middle Branch. When you drive over the Vietnam Veterans Memorial Bridge and you just see all this development going on at Baltimore Peninsula. I mean, I don't know that there's too many bigger construction sites in the country. You look at that Lock Landing development, that's bringing almost 400 new townhomes, 2 apartment buildings, and taking over that old lock insulators factory over there, which is right on the water. And now you get all these new townhomes, and it's really going to be a neighborhood that's going to have its own pool and clubhouse. It's going to have this kind of green path system along the water. It's going to have these pocket parks throughout the neighborhood they're building. So I think that's really a cool option where people can be in South Baltimore, still be close to downtown, but have this more green and waterfront oriented neighborhood down there. Sales on those townhomes are wildly successful, and they can't build them as fast as they could sell them. So things are going really well there, despite these high interest rates and challenges for buyers. Under Armour is going to begin moving into their new headquarters building. They already have one building down there, but they're really going to start the big move from Locust Point into Baltimore Peninsula in the next couple weeks. They have this new building that's made to look a little bit like a stadium. So that's a 280,000 square foot building. It's going to have a gym. It's got a basketball court. It's got a Under Armour store. It's going to really bring all their employees down to that Baltimore Peninsula campus. You go behind that, they have their new track and field stadium. They have the old Sam's Club that was converted into an office building. They're doing a lot of their innovation work there. So, all of a sudden you have this new Under Armour campus that's been talked about for many years. It's really going to open in the next couple of weeks. Obviously, another thing we've talked about for almost 10 years, that's about to happen. And then really across the street from there, you got that Baltimore Peninsula development, which, opened 5 new buildings last year. And now they're starting to really activate those buildings with new office tenants. They have a lot of people living in the apartments there, and they've announced a dozen restaurants going down there. First it was Port Covington. Now they've rebranded it as Baltimore Peninsula. We've talked about this for a long time. Now you're actually going to be able to go down there and eat dinner and have a snack, get lunch. I really enjoy taking bike rides through that area because I'm a journalist. I like seeing things that change. That's an area of constant change, but really talk about an area that's a lot different from the rest of the city. You're talking about a 21st century street grid where you have bike lanes and you have areas for tree planters. And it's just very meticulously maintained, lots of landscaping, lots of like pavers, different things to check out. I love the history of Federal Hill and downtown and all these areas, but really to kind of get a look at 21st century neighborhoods at the same time is a cool contrast and a little bit calmer area to take a walk, take a bike ride. So really that whole area is just kind of, it's really changing before our eyes. And if you're a curious journalist or just somebody who loves South Baltimore, it's fun to take it in and see how it goes. And I think the next thing we're seeing that might happen down there is a study to put a soccer stadium in the middle of that development. Baltimore's been pursuing professional outdoor soccer for many years, but this seems like it could be getting real. The stadium would go right next to those 5 new buildings they just built. Currently, it's DC United leading that charge. They have a 3rd-tier team that they wanted to play in Baltimore. Could Baltimore have the opportunity to have a stadium and maybe a higher level of soccer than that? From what I asked the Baltimore Peninsula development team, they're certainly open to that. So really, if you get that stadium down there, hey, we have a new stadium in the RB, you're going to get this pro soccer team that's going to play some games down there. That could be part of your life in South Baltimore, going to soccer games, but also you could see how that fits into the development. You go to a game, maybe you go to one of those Baltimore Peninsula restaurants before or after, or maybe you take a walk along the waterfront before or after a game. So it really should be interesting to follow that. Pro soccer in Baltimore really goes hand in hand with that Westport development, which has been in talks for 20 years. They were talking about putting a soccer stadium at Westport 15 years ago and bringing the top DC United team to Baltimore, and that obviously never happened. So really that'll be an interesting story to follow there, but just constant changes going on there. There's not a lot of land in Locust Point and Federal Hill to make big changes, but you have this 235-acre area down in Baltimore Peninsula where big changes are happening. Whether you love what's going on or not, you can't deny it's a big story. The other big thing that happened this year is new ownership for the Orioles. David Rubenstein, new owner of the Orioles, he comes in with a lot of capital. He also has Michael Bloomberg's part of the ownership team, one of the richest people in America. There's no doubt the Orioles have capital behind them. Everybody's goal, including David Rubenstein's, is to see the Orioles win a World Series. I wasn't even a Maryland resident the last time they won the World Series. To see the Orioles win a World Series would be massive for this area. We'll see if the new ownership group can get that done. Camden Yards is over 30 years old, and they're talking about this renovation to Camden Yards. And now you have a guy like David Rubenstein, who comes from a background in kind of private capital. Real estate holdings has been a big part of what he does. He's got other partners, in the Orioles ownership that really come from a real estate background. So it'd be really interesting to see what they come up with as far as a renovation of the stadium. They're talking about kind of new field level suites, maybe, and new club spaces, maybe like bars in the upper deck, different things. So it'd be really interesting to see what they come up with that. And there's also talk of redevelopment in the parking lots around the stadium. That's the one part of the stadium lease that hasn't been figured out yet, but sounds optimistic according to Rubenstein. We'll see what they come up with. If you can, maybe make that area around Camden Yards, you got the fun of pickles and you got the fun of the Inner Harbor that's not too far. But if there's kind of more you can bring around that stadium to make, that area alive before and after a game, that's really been a big trend around the country to become mixed use development. So we will see where things go with that. Not a slow time around South Baltimore. Constant small business stories, which is really the bread and butter of what we love to cover and see happening. People love all the new coffee shops and restaurants and places to get a beer and places to maybe get some education, different things. Always new small businesses in South Baltimore. That's probably why you live here. You love being able to walk to businesses. You love getting foods from different continents, and we still got it, and we still probably have it more than ever.
And just going back to your comments about the sports stadium and soccer, I mean, if they build it Baltimore's going to support it. This is definitely a sports town. Anything in that regard is going to be awesome. I'd love to see that happen. So, Kev, are there any stories you think are going to shape the next couple of years, or more immediately heading into next year? What do you think is going to be some stories that are kind of on the horizon?
Obviously, Westport, Baltimore Peninsula, Camden Yards, those things are going to keep changing. We're going to keep following those stories. Can the Ravens get another Super Bowl? Can the Orioles finally get that first World Series since 1983? Whether you're a sports fan or not, you can't deny the business and community impact things like that would have. You talk to the restaurants. Every time the Ravens have a home playoff game, it's like an extra week's worth of business. Really exciting times when those teams do well. And luckily, they're both in good shape. We'll certainly follow that. But I think, too, is following this real estate market. We're looking at a market where interest rates are high and construction costs are difficult. So really, what we've seen in the last couple of years is you're not seeing a lot of apartment buildings get built right now because that's really expensive to do. We've seen this new focus on townhomes. And it's interesting to see these waves in the market where we've kind of seen it before, where, the market kind of crashed in the late 2000s, and that led to kind of less home ownership. And then all these apartment buildings started popping up, and there were kind of less buyers at the time. Now we're kind of seeing where it's more expensive to build the apartment buildings. You're seeing more townhomes. Also, you're seeing conversions of some buildings where instead of tearing it down and building this $50 million plus apartment building, we can convert this building into a cool office building or a more fun retail space. We've seen a little bit of that too. So there might be a different angle to real estate development now, where big, tall buildings aren't as easy to pull off, but there might be more creative ways that real estate can be developed. One story I always think about is Little Havana. There was the boom of we need all these big condo buildings everywhere of kind of the late 2000s. And the team at Little Havana did not own their building, and there was kind of this lure. That's got to be the next spot to build a big, tall condo building. And the real estate market crashed. The team at Little Havana was able to buy their building. Now they own the building. They control their own destiny. They've continually invested in that building. Now they have a liquor store in there. Now they have 2 extra event spaces. It's just continually a business that people in South Florida love. So that was a case where the real estate market wasn't great. Businesses can take advantage of that and secure their long-term success, where if everything isn't always viewed as the next spot for an apartment building or a condo building, maybe that creates opportunities for others. Obviously, we've seen crushed velvet. We see Verde Pizza along with crushed velvet shaved ice. That's a spot that has been planned for a tall apartment building, but the owners have not felt the time is right. So we've gotten 2 years out of crushed velvet and Neapolitan by Verde. Maybe the opportunity comes where maybe they become a long-term tenant of that. So sometimes these different waves in the market create different opportunities, and it's fun to see where those things go. No matter what side you're on that, it makes it interesting to follow, because if the market was always the same forever, maybe we'd have an area of nothing but apartment buildings and nothing else. But sometimes those waves in the market create different opportunities for different types of businesses. Sometimes they can make a landscape diverse.
There's so many different cuisines from around the world that we have here. It's always nice. And, you can get a bite here, a bite there. One of the things my wife and I do every year for our anniversary is we take the day off and we go out and just support local businesses around the neighborhood. And we might grab a bite here, a drink there. Speaking of that, Kev, I got to tell you about some recent meals I've had around town.
Let's get hungry.
So for the first time, went to Bodhi Thai, which is on Light Street. I mean, the place is so good that it turned on my daughter to Thai food, which is a big win for us. So that's pretty amazing. Tried it out about a month ago, and we've now had it 4 times since. I'll say it's great. Outpost is always a great meal. Local in the neighborhood up here by Fed Hill Park. It's a great little neighborhood spot. Never had a bad meal there. Never had a bad drink there. So just wanted to throw a couple shout outs. Anything you've had recently you want to give a shout out to?
Yeah, I've always kind of had access to good pizza by the slice and good bagels. We have THB now, that great bagel shop. You go in, whether you want to pick up a half a dozen bagels or go in and get, some lox and bagels or a breakfast sandwich. The kids love going to THB. So really having THB in the neighborhood has been a great addition. I love the limoncello pizza. It's just that kind of quintessential slice shop. You get the special, whether it's a couple slices and a soda or whether that's a slice and a salad and a soda for really $10 or less. Locust Point just got Morning Mugs coffee, which seems like it's really been a big hit down here, constantly a line to get in there. People enjoying the coffee and the breakfast burritos. That's a business that's, expanded from their other location in Otterbein. And, really just always so much good food around town. I had a great meal at Copper Shark a few months ago. Speaking of anniversaries, I got one coming up and I'm looking forward to do exactly what Nate said, just have a little staycation day in the city and support small businesses. So we're already thinking of getting brunch at a place like Blue Moon 2 or Easy Like Sunday or Needs. So many great options when you want to get brunch, and then maybe take a water taxi over to Fells Point and support some things over there. So many good options to eat in South Baltimore. I wish I had more time. It's almost like, where do you want to go out to dinner? There's too many options, which is why you should advertise with southbeamer.com, because the last thing people might see is a banner ad on southbeamer.com, a delicious looking burger or steak on our site. That's the last thought in their head before they go out to eat. So shout out advertising.
So Kev, we talked a lot about today. We've talked a lot about advertising, why it's important, supporting local journalism. We've talked about our awesome small businesses. We've talked a lot about the development that's going on. There's always something to do around here, some way to be active. What are some of the things that you love about being a South Baltimorean?
Oh man, it's just so amazing down here. I love this neighborhood so much. I walk around, I constantly see people that I know and like, and we can strike up conversations about anything. Talk about all these great parks we have access to, whether you're wanting to do something low key or get in some soccer practice or baseball. You know, my kids are all go to one of the schools in the area, and just couldn't be more happy with, you know, kind of the PTO and the staff and sort of the effort to make that a great school. Talk about these great sports organizations we have around here, whether it's the South Baltimore Little League or the South Baltimore Youth Soccer League or the South Baltimore Basketball League, and some of the club teams that have spawned out of those. So many great restaurants to go to, being able to walk to Orioles and Ravens games. I love this area as much as I ever had. And it's just, you know, whether it's your life as an empty nester, your life as a young professional, your life as a family, or somebody even younger, it feels like it just has so much great stuff for everybody and so many great people here. Sometimes you go out to the suburbs or different area and people like their privacy, which is fine. To each their own. Feels like a lot of people live in an area like this because they want to have a social life. They want to have constant communication with other people. I love that. I love being around other people like that. They love the social aspect of being in South Baltimore. Just day to day, it reaffirms my choice to live here, to have a business here, to raise my family here. It's just a wonderful area. We have people that listen to our podcast sometimes that are thinking about moving here. Lots of great realtors and properties for rent you could find if you want to join us in this great life down here in South Baltimore. I certainly recommend it.
Absolutely. You know what I'm hearing right now? I'm hearing the Cheers theme song, you know, where everybody knows your name.
Yes. And I believe that place in Locust Point is called City Limits.
Yeah.
It's a community full of regulars. A regular doesn't even have to be the sense of sitting at a bar. It's a regular that you see on the walk to school. It's a regular you see at the dog park. It's a regular you see out there kicking the soccer ball around and different things. So, you know, love this place.
We love this place too. At this point, I want to thank everybody out there, all of our supporters, readers, listeners, viewers. We truly appreciate your support. For those of you that are, you know, have been longtime subscribers to southbeamer.com, I ask you to just take a moment, you know, share with another neighbor. Maybe it's a new neighbor, maybe somebody that just moved in, or somebody that didn't know about us. Any likes and subscribes we get, whether it's on social media or, you know, getting that daily newsletter is really important. A lot of people are subscribers to that daily newsletter. That really helps us a lot, and it helps get the information out there a little quicker. We appreciate all of that and all of your support. I do want to give a special shout out to our business partners who are the backbone of our local economy. And look, let's unite as a community and try to support local business and support local journalism and support each other. Like Kevin said, we're like a small town inside of a big city, which is really cool. I love it. It's just a great place for families and things to do. Really appreciate it today.
Fun talking with our audience, and the next podcast will certainly be more about a different subject, but we love talking about ourselves every once in a while.
Please reach out if you have questions, comments, anything like that. Thank you all very much. Thanks for tuning in. Talk to you soon.